Hey guys, it's me Talha. In this Revit and Enscape tutorial, we'll be rendering this project which we created in one of my previous videos. But before we begin, if you find this video helpful, please consider supporting my work on Patreon. You will get access to this project file along with over 100 Revit project files. Your support on Patreon helps me create new videos every week. Now let's get started. So here I'm in Revit, and as you can see, I've already opened this project. First, I'm going to double click on this floor and expand it to create a sidewalk. I'm going to duplicate this floor and let's call it sidewalk 6 inches. I'm going to set the same thickness here. Once that's done, let's go ahead and create the grass. I'm going to create a grass patch here. As well as on the sidewalk. And again, I'm going to create a duplicate of this floor as well. And let's call it grass 2 inches and put the same thickness here. As you can see, it's overlapping with the other floor, so we need to give it maybe a 1 inch height offset. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and create a ramp. To create a ramp, first I'm going to draw some detail lines here. We will use them as a reference to add the points to this floor. We'll delete this later on. We only want to use them as a reference to add the points to this floor. You will understand in a moment. We'll also want to create a horizontal line here. Now let's select this floor and click on modify elements and then add point. Let's add a point at the end of this detail line on both sides. And then I'm going to add the third one here. We will repeat the same on this side as well, and we will add 3 points. Now let's go to 3D, and I'm going to select this floor and click on modify elements again. This time we will select the edge of this floor. If you remember, the thickness of this floor is 6 inches, so we need to put the same value here, but we should add a negative sign, so it's minus 6 inches. There you go. As you can see, you've got this cool ramp here. Now to create a curve, we can use a sweep. So let's create an in place component. Let's go to architecture, click this drop down, select model in place, and then generic models. Let's click OK. Now let's select sweep, and I'm going to pick the edges of this floor. And let's click finish. Then we'll create a profile for the curve. Once that's done, let's create a void here, because when we create the road, it will overlap with the sweep or the curve. So we need to remove this part using a void extrusion. Like so. Now let's create the road. I'm going to use a floor to create it. Let's create a rectangle and we'll repeat the same process. First we'll duplicate this floor type. Click OK. And okay, we need to change the height offset. Let's put minus 6 inches, which is the thickness of this floor. Once that's done, let's mirror these floors. We don't need a ramp here, so we can simply select this floor and click reset shape, and it will remove the points as well as the ramp. Now I'm going to edit this grass. I think our model is ready to be rendered in Enscape. Before starting Enscape, we should have materials created in Revit for each of the objects. So that's what I am doing here right now. I'm creating a new material for each of the objects on which I want to apply a different material. Once we finish creating the materials, let's go ahead and launch Enscape. Here, as usual, first I'm going to set up the camera view. Okay, here I think we should move these floors because the road is looking too wide. So let's go back to Revit and I'm going to move them. Let's make the road 35 feet. Now let's go back to Enscape and I'm going to set up the camera view. Let's open up visual settings and I'm going to rename this preset. Then we will use the field of view slider to zoom in onto the model. And let's readjust the camera position. Once satisfied, let's go ahead and create a new camera view. Make sure you have linked the same preset to the camera view. Now let's split both windows and start editing the materials in the Enscape material editor. First, I'm going to edit the wall texture. I will be using this one. You can download this image from my website cadneeds.com. Anyway, let's change the size of this texture. And then I'm going to use the same texture for the bump, or rather for the displacement map. For most of the objects, I will be using materials from the Enscape material library. Here is a tip for creating realistic glass materials for the windows. For the windows, instead of using a glass material, I am going to edit the generic material in the Enscape material editor. First, I am going to change the color. Let's go with yellow. You can use the same color code as well if you want to. As you can see, it's looking like a solid panel. Now let's scroll down and change the transparency type to transmittance. Scroll down and I'm going to lower down the opacity and increase the refractive index slider all the way to the end. Still nothing has changed. Now you will see the magic as I reduce the roughness. As you can see, it's looking much more realistic now. We'll increase the specular a little bit as well. And that's how you can create realistic glass material in Enscape. Anyway, once that's done, let's go ahead and create the road texture. Now let's quickly add the assets. I will be using the new Chaos Cosmos library for Enscape. I did a video about it last week. You can check that out if you want to know how you can use this new Chaos Cosmos library. I will get back to you once I finish placing all the assets to save your time. So I have added the assets. Now let's take a look at it in Enscape. As you can see, it's looking pretty good. We have not done any settings yet, but it's already looking pretty good. If you notice, I have added these two trees in the back near the camera just to see these shadows. I think we should move these cars a little bit to the right. Perfect. Moving on, let's work on the lighting. I'm going to add lighting families from the blocks plugin. First, we will add some exterior lights. Once we finish adding the exterior lights, let's go to the ceiling plan. I'm not going to do any interior modeling in this video. We'll only focus on the exterior rendering, but we still want the interior to lit up to make the rendering look realistic. And here we want to create a gypsum ceiling, so I am going to remove the finish or the ceiling tiles. Now let's go back to the blocks plugin and look for an interior light. Let's go with this one. I'm going to place one and then create an array horizontally and then vertically. As I said, we just want to shed the light in. That's why I'm just placing these lights randomly. Let's right click on any of these lights and then select all instances visible in view. Then I'm going to hold down the control key and select the ceiling. Let's copy to clipboard, Ctrl C, and go to the level 3 ceiling plan. Okay, we don't have the ceiling plan showing up here. So we need to go to view and then click this drop down and select reflected ceiling plan. And here we have these levels which are not listed in our project browser. Select all three of these and click OK. And we have these levels showing up here. Let's go to level 3 and I'm going to go to modify and then paste align to current view. Let's edit the ceiling to match up with these walls. Now I'm going to select all the lights and ungroup them. We need to do it twice because we have created two different arrays. Once we have ungrouped them, we can simply copy them to this side like so. Let's resume Enscape, take a look at it. Now the interior is looking much better with the lights added. We will adjust the intensity of these lights later on using the visual settings. But here I think we should add some furniture. First, let's hide these lights. I'm going to add this custom sofa set in here. Perfect. Okay, here I just noticed we need to add grass under this slab here as well. Let's quickly do that. Now I think our scene is ready to be exported. But before that, I'm just going to reposition these trees because I want to see them at the top corner. Perfect. Let's quickly do that on the left side as well. Now I'm going to open up the visual settings. For this rendering, we'll be using an HDRI as the main lighting source. So for that, we need to go to Sky and then select Sky box. And I'm going to load the HDRI. As you can see, the lighting has completely changed and it's not looking good at all. That's because we are still using the Enscape lighting. To use the lighting from the HDRI, we need to check this box. Still, it doesn't change that much. So we need to play around with the rotation and the brightness until we get our desired results. If we increase the values here, we will get a cooler effect. And if I reduce these values, we will get a warmer effect. Once it's done, let's go to the main tab and I'm going to add outlines. This will highlight the edges of our model. Let's go with 7%. I will leave the exposure as it is and increase the rendering quality to ultra. In the image tab, I'm going to lower down highlights and shadows a little bit. and saturation as well. You can adjust the color tone here as well. I will remove all these effects and leave the bloom at around 5%. In the atmosphere tab, I'm going to remove fog and lower down the sun brightness. Remove shadow sharpness and increase the artificial light brightness to match the scene. In the output tab, I'm going to increase the resolution to Ultra HD and change the file format to JPEG. And let's export the rendering. So the rendering has been exported and it took around 30 seconds to export this 4K rendering, and it turned out pretty good. So that's how to create realistic exterior renderings in Enscape for Revit. Be sure to check out the Enscape tutorials playlist on my channel. That's all for this video. I hope you have learned something new. If you found this video helpful, please consider supporting my work on Patreon and get access to this project file along with over 100 Revit project files. Your support on Patreon helps me create new videos every week. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.